Dan Bartlett is at Andrews Air Force Base. Of course, Dan was a senior advisor to President Bush, and he now helps us out here at CBS News. And Dan, this is quite a moving picture, and I'm sure the emotions are high for you. What are you feeling right now?
Well, there's a lot of memories that come rushing back from two inaugurations, a historic one obviously in 2000 and then in 2004. And I can only think about what's going through former President Bush's mind right now as he boards that helicopter. Enormous challenges he faced as president, the enormous responsibilities. And as we talk about the awesome burden that's now put on the shoulders of President Obama, we have an opposite feeling probably for the former president, with the burden being lifted. And we'll all get on Air Force One here, or what was Air Force One for President Bush. It'll take us back to Texas. I think you'll have a joyous occasion, about 30,000 feet in the air, and we'll regale on the old stories and experiences that we had together.
And what's the overwhelming feeling, do you think, for former President Bush right now? Relief, a bit of sadness and melancholy? What do you think it is?
Actually, after talking to him over the last few days, he's really, like many Americans, understanding the historic nature of this inauguration, of this 44th president. And I think he really respects the institution and the history behind it. And I think that's why you saw such a productive and genuine transition to President Obama. And this president, like I said, has had a lot of respect for the institution. I'm sure there is a lot of emotion going through his mind right now and through himself, and where he's talking with his close family there, with Mrs. Bush, about a lot of the memories there in the White House. But also, he's a person that really celebrates democracy, and I think being witness to something like this is something that he'll cherish for a long time.
And I know he's thinking about writing a book. I know Laura Bush already has a book deal. How do you think he's going to spend the majority of his time, Dan?
Well, all of us that are close to him are thinking about getting unlisted numbers, because we're all fearing that he's going to have a lot of time on his hand and wanting to call and chat. He's described himself as a type A personality, and I think with focusing on his library and focusing on books and probably doing some speeches, he will have time to spend, and hopefully he'll kick back a little bit and take some time off. But we expect him to be active. I think what he has said in the press conference last week about removing himself from the Klieg lights will be something that he will follow. He will not try to interject himself in the public policy debate, but expect an active former president. He's a young man. He's very, as you know, is athletic. He'll be out and about. He'll be traveling. But expect him to be much lower key, or at least staying out of the public policy arena in the short term.